Chicago Bulls hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves last night, and in the game, the Minnesota Timberwolves blew out the Chicago Bulls by the final score of 119 to 94. The Chicago Bulls dropped to 9-26, one of the worst records in the NBA, while the Minnesota Timberwolves were struggling to get back to 500, improved to 16-18 on the year. But the big story last night was Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose made his triumphant return to Chicago. And it's the only time that Derrick Rose will appear in Chicago because the Timberwolves in the Western Conference, so the two teams only play each other twice. So it's the only appearance that Derrick Rose will make in Chicago. But he received jubilant MVP chants from Derrick Rose. And you could visibly see Derrick Rose smiling from those chants, and I think it was very deserved. You guys probably remember me doing a video just last week, I think it was, when I said that Chicago Bulls fans in near unison owed Derrick Rose an apology for the way that we, including myself, we basically jumped the gun and basically questioned his heart and questioned his desire to play. And Derrick Rose has shown that he is a fighter and that he knew his body better than anybody else in professional media, mainstream media, or any vlogger like myself. We didn't know what the hell was going on with him, and we jumped the gun. And for that, I'm truly sorry, at least. You know, you might not hear people in the mainstream media apologize because they think they're always right. They're wrong 70% of the time, and when they're wrong, they never address it. They just they sneakily change their approach to the situation. And when they're right, they never let it go. They pat themselves in the back 1 billion times. You know, you hear that in the mainstream media. But last night, he played 38 minutes. He usually doesn't play that many minutes, but Tom Thibodeau played him, as a starter. And he scored 24 points from 11 to 19 shooting from the floor, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. A little bit of an off night for him from beyond the arc. This year, he's shooting about 45% from the three-point line. Like I said, 11 to 19 from the floor this year. He's shooting 49%. He's having career highs shooting the basketball. I've never seen Rose look as good as he does shooting-wise. To go along with 8 assists and 2 steals. And on the year, he's averaging almost 19 points a game. And he is the front runner for Sixth Man of the Year and possibly maybe even most improved player. Although, I always think that award should go to somebody who has shown a substantial improvement from their earlier play rather than a guy who was an MVP caliber. Well, he was an MVP. He's the youngest MVP in NBA history. Derrick Rose won that award. I think he's only 22 years old. But I think it should go to a guy like that rather than a guy who has shown he was all-star material, then had injury issues and then come back. Well, I guess you could give it to him, but whatever. It was a long time coming this season for Derrick Rose. Many people even thought after his tenure with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I think he was waived by the Utah Jazz, many people thought his career might even be over. But Derrick Rose has shown to me that he's at least the second best player on the Timberwolves. Andrew Wiggins is extraordinarily inconsistent. All right. You might get a 30-point or 35-point explosion from him, and then you might get 3 consecutive games where he goes 3 of 13 and disappears. you know. But Derrick Rose is a positive development in the NBA. I wish the best for him. I wish him supreme health this year. And I think Tom Thibodeau is very conscious of the fact that many people have criticized him for perhaps contributing to Derrick Rose's injury issues. If you recall, when Tom Thibodeau was the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, he would often play his starters heavy minutes. Definitely remember him doing that to Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy Butler was doing his thing with Chicago Bulls, especially when Jimmy Butler was known more for being a defensive specialist rather than an offensive player and a two-way player. When he came in the league, he was more known for his defensive abilities, and then he, worked on his offensive game, and he became more of a complete player. But I remember many times when Jimmy Butler was with the Chicago Bulls, man, he might play the entire game, or he might play 46 minutes, or 44 minutes, or 40 odd minutes, especially in marquee games or pivotal games. Playoffs is a different beast, you're going to play more minutes. But I thought there were some regular season games where Jimmy Butler didn't have to play 45 minutes, And even in the game where Derrick Rose went down that playoff game, he was kind of playing in some unnecessary time at the end of the game, if I'm not mistaken, then. So I think, anyway, Tom Thibodeau was conscious of the fact that maybe him overextending Rose in some of those games contributed to the injury issues that he's had for the past, 6, 7 years or what have you. And maybe that's why he limits Rose's minutes. I think Rose is only averaging 24 minutes or so this year, which is a good thing. And you see what he's doing in that semi-limited role. He's very effective. And it's just the only thing that's a shame is I don't think the Timberwolves are a playoff team. I don't think they're going to, be in the postseason with the record they have unless they somehow are able to turn around. I don't think they are. If only fucking Wiggins was a more consistent player, they would possibly be a playoff caliber team. But I don't know. I mean, if I sound so hard on Wiggins, man, he's just a fucking disappointment to me, man. As far as NBA, potential, he might average whatever he averages, 18, 19 points, and had a couple of seasons there with 20 points. But this is a guy who many people saw as potentially being a superstar. Okay, it's almost like if LeBron James wasn't playing the level he's playing now, but playing more like Grant Hill in the 90s. That's not a knock on Grant Hill. Grant Hill was a great player, but he wasn't LeBron James. And if he played at Grant Hill's level, put it like this: if Grant Hill ever would have played at LeBron James' level, he would be maximizing totally his basketball ability. If LeBron James was playing on Grant Hill's level in the 90s, he would be a great player, but you would be thinking he's not playing to the absolute best of his abilities. And, so that might be a controversial comment to some people, but hey, LeBron James, in my opinion, was a better player than Grant Hill. Grant Hill was great, but wasn't Grant Hill. I mean, he wasn't LeBron James. And, but I look at that way with Wiggins. So, but anyway, Derrick Rose has come back, and he's looking like himself, making a lot of, difficult floaters, and fall away jumpers, and, he just looks so more fluid. He looks so much more like the Derrick Rose that, we saw on a daily basis in Chicago. And for that, I wish him the best success, and tell me what you guys think.